2025 was an interesting year for film. It had some really good highlights and, like every other year, it had its absolute stinkers. There were quite a few big directors who were released this year. We had Paul Thomas Anderson, Yorgos Lanthimos, Darren Aronofsky, and so on. We also had an award season absolutely dominated by PTA, unlike the previous year where a small indie film, Anora, swept the Oscars. I watched 23 films released in 2025. Here's my ranking. In last place, we have You're Cordially Invited. Well, I was never expecting much from this film. It was an Amazon Prime movie starring Will Ferrell and Reese Witherspoon. It just didn't have anything going for it. It had such a basic plot, poor acting. I don't have to say much about this one, no surprise to anyone. At number 23, I have Happy Gilmore 2. Look, there was just no need for this film to ever be released. Like, the first film came out 30 years ago or something. It's just one of those Netflix cash grab movies which just didn't need to be made at all. A lot of people would have hated this movie a lot more than me. I thought it was at least watchable, but yeah, nothing special really. At 21, I have Nobody 2. I mean, it's not a bad film. I've just watched mainly good films this year, and this isn't one of them. It's an average film. It's like a dad movie. It's nothing special, you know. At number 20, I have Lilo and Stitch. Well, Lilo and Stitch is an animated film from the 90s, but for some reason they decided to remake it as a live action, and I don't even know why I watched this, but it wasn't good. Like, you don't need to waste your time on this one. At number 19, I have the remake of Naked Gun. I haven't actually watched the original Naked Gun, but my dad forced me to come to the cinema, and I actually had a pretty good time with this one. It was quite enjoyable. It was just one-liners after another, and yeah, it was a pretty funny, decent film. At number 18, I have Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Look, I like all the Mission Impossible films. This was by no means a bad film. They're just better in this list, but this was definitely an enjoyable one. I think the only main problem, which was a pretty big problem, was the fact that it was nearly 3 hours and it kind of dragged. At number 17, I have Bring Her Back. Bring Her Back was a horror film and it was very gory. The actual plot wasn't that incredible. It was quite entertaining and it had a lot of potential with the idea. But yeah, it relied too much on gore, which I didn't like that much. At number 16, I have Guillermo del Toro's Frankenstein. Look, I know a lot of people like this film a lot, but I didn't like it that much. Like, I think they wasted Christoph Waltz. Christoph Waltz is just one of my favorite actors. I made a video on Inglourious Basterds and his character in that. So if you like that, watch that. But I think they just wasted Christoph Waltz, which just annoyed me for like the entirety of this movie. At number 15, I have Avatar: Fire and Ash. Some people really like the Avatar movies. Some people really hate them. I'm more towards the middle. And whilst of course I appreciate the VFX being insane in these movies, like the plot isn't that interesting, and they've had the same villain for 3 movies straight, and it's been like 18 years or so. At 14, I have Zootopia 2. I really like the old Zootopia movie. I think it's a great film. It's like a personal favorite. This was by no means a bad film. I enjoyed it, but yeah, nothing special at all. At number 13, I have Bong Joon-ho's Mickey 17. Mickey 17, it's a weird one. Obviously, he has created Parasite, so you're always going to go into his films with that in mind. Obviously not trying to be Parasite. It's nowhere near the level of Parasite, but it is a very enjoyable film, and I think Robert Pattinson is pretty good in this. It's a bit weird. It's definitely weird, but it's definitely entertaining as well. At number 12, I have Darren Aronofsky's Caught Stealing. Caught Stealing is an interesting one because it's an entertaining watch. It's definitely entertaining. It was pretty funny. I liked Austin Butler and Zoe Kravitz in this movie. The plot was very basic, but it was still pretty entertaining and it was worth a trip to the cinema. At number 11, I have 28 Years Later. Now, a lot of people just didn't like this movie that much, and based on the trailer, I can see why that might have been the case, because the trailer hyped it up to be like insane. But I still really like this movie. I gave it an 8 out of 10. But yeah, this is a great film, and 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which came out earlier this year, definitely beats it, but it set it up really well. Now for the top 10. At number 10, I have Fantastic Four: First Steps. When I saw this in IMAX, it was just a peak experience seeing Galactus. The Galactus design is just insane. I love that design. And Ralph Ineson, who voiced Galactus, is just terrifying. And the whole vibe of this movie was just so good, and I loved it so much. At 9, I have The Long Walk. The premise of the film on paper seems a bit like boring, but this film is far from that. It's just an entertaining watch from start to finish. It's not just, I've said entertaining for about every film here, but like there's so much emotion in the characters. There's so much death, because obviously in the premise it says that there'll only be one person left. Basically everyone dies, but like when you know everyone's gonna die, it's hard to make each death feel so special. Somehow they've managed to make every death feel like really painful. At number 8, I have the new James Gunn Superman. A lot of people like this film a lot more than me. I definitely like this film. It was very enjoyable, and it's nice to see such a brightly coloured Superman, unlike Man of Steel, which I still liked. I still like Man of Steel. I don't know why people hate that film so much, but I do prefer this to Man of Steel, and I am excited for Supergirl and Man of Tomorrow. At number 7, I have Wake Up Dead Man, the third film in the Knives Out trilogy. It's entertaining. They're all entertaining. Like, I'll never miss a Knives Out movie. They're all thrilling from start to finish. I don't think for a second I had a clue who was going to be the killer. At number 6, I have Chloe Zhao's Hamnet. Hamnet is just, it's a great film. It's just great. Like, the acting from Jessie Buckley is just insanity. Everyone knew she was going to win that Oscar as soon as the Oscars were announced. Like, when you see this film, you know Jessie Buckley is carrying it on her shoulders. As for the plot wasn't that special. I mean, it was still a great film, don't get me wrong, and it was obviously based on Maggie O'Farrell's book, but the plot wasn't that much, and a lot of it was relying on Jessie Buckley's insane acting. Okay, now into the top 5. At number 5, I have one of the most fun experiences in a movie theater I've had in a while. It's Weapons. Weapons was insane. Weapons was just crazy. I really enjoyed Barbarian. Barbarian by Zach Cregger was just one of my favorite films of 2022. And when I heard he was making a new film, and when I watched the trailer, this just looked insane. And without spoiling anything, it was like completely insane. And it was just brilliant from start to finish. You have to watch this if you haven't already. At number 4, I have Yorgos Lanthimos' Bugonia. Bugonia, it's a weird one. It's another weird one. And it's Yorgos Lanthimos. It was always going to be a weird one. But I really like this movie. I think Emma Stone is really good. And I think Jesse Plemons was definitely robbed of an Oscar nomination, because he was just so good. Like, every element of his acting was just perfection. I think he was just great, and I don't think he deserved to win an Oscar, but I thought he was just amazing. At number 3, I have a fan favorite, and the one which won a lot of Oscars alongside One Battle After Another. I have Sinners. Sinners was one of the first films I watched this year. Sinners was just amazing. Watching this in the cinema was just an experience and a half. Well, I'm not going to spoil it if you haven't watched it, but that one scene in Sinners is just, you had to be there, I guess. That's why we go to the cinema. That one scene in Sinners just wraps it all up. At 2, I have Marty Supreme. Marty Supreme was what I had locked in for my best actor vote. Timothée Chalamet, he really deserved it for this one. He was just incredible. He just absolutely obliterates this role. The film is so entertaining from start to finish. Like, a lot of the films, I'm easily entertained, but this film was just so fast-paced. So much was happening. Some people didn't like the ending, but I loved it. It's just a great film from start to finish. Absolute work of art. At number 1, I do have One Battle After Another. It definitely did deserve all the awards. Watching this in IMAX on opening day was just incredible. Paul Thomas Anderson, one of my favorite directors, Magnolia being my favorite film of all time. This was just amazing. Like Marty Supreme, it did have such a fast-paced plot. It was such a simple plot. Like, it's just a simple kidnapping story, yet they turn it into such an entertaining and layered film with so much going on. But it's just such a great film. It's just so good in so many ways. The script, the cinematography, the score, everything is good in this film. Yeah, One Battle After Another, simply the best film of the year. And after watching it for a second time, I can confirm this is definitely the case. Well, that's my 2025 ranking. If you want to see more videos like this, please subscribe, like, and comment what you want to see next.